the long, 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 and whinging road to the end of the season, and here we are. Who'd have thought we'd make it? 23 races for this year's Formula One World Championship for 2024. No, it's 24. We didn't have one though, did we? 22. 22. What's he? I don't know. He's using sign language, people, and
Well,
yet in this modern
it's
world.
it's 22 because they didn't make Imola.
Oh yeah, Imola. It was in fact 22 races. That's how long ago Imola wasn't. That is how long ago Imola was not. I can't remember. Season of 1,000 cuts. Each cut wounding me deeper and deeper until we finally get to the end of it, which is at Abu Dhabi. Welcome everybody. Welcome Fabio. Welcome
Hello.
Lucky is Seven Wolfen. Notice there was no delay there. Straight to your name. That's because we're going to speed through this one because it's been a long gone season. And yeah, so we're just going to get straight on with it. Welcome, Lucky.
Thank you, sir. Good evening,
Thank
everybody.
you. No, thank you. Thank you. Ooh, sir. Fuck me. That's how long a season it is. Okay, moving on. Let's just get to the race review, I guess, guys. Qualifying. I'm not going to. This spoiler alert, everybody. Max Verstappen did quite well in this race. Max Verstappen. Verstappen.
That the Dutch guy from Holland?
Yeah, the unstoppable Stappen. And there we go. So yeah, what can I say? 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and Max Verstappen wins. That's how it's been this year. Into the first corner, Max Verstappen, of course, leaving a superb sweep round the outside on the line. Absolutely fantastic. The only bit of action, really, I should say, followed by Charles Leclerc, the pasty pastry, who at least put up a decent first lap. No, I say first lap. I'm joking, of course. First 2 corners, 3 corners. Max Verstappen leaving absolutely 1 car's width between that and the edge of the barriers. I mean the circuit. In order for anything, and then sweeping around to do the same. Charles Leclerc, I feel, missed a trick. He could have run him off the road there. Missed a trick there, Charles. But nonetheless, that was that. Max Verstappen through into the lead, and away he went. And that was the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That's how quick it is sometimes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that can be said. Perez, of course, who really took every one of those 1,000 cuts on the chin. Got to say that. He was a trooper. He was an absolute trooper, Perez. Didn't care. He really didn't care that he never qualified in first, really. Well, I guess the beginning of the season he did. He never had any decent races after the updates, after race 6 updates. And that was it. He just didn't care. He just kept on going. He was like a dog without a bone. And there we go. I can't think of any other analogies, really. Max Verstappen won by a country mile, of course, 17 seconds or so. Won the championship by over twice as many points as second place. First time that's been done. Won by 1,000 laps led this season. Never been done before. Led by winning more races in a season than anybody else ever has. And more on the bounce than anybody ever has. Not that any of these records really matter because we're doing so many races. 23, 24, 23 races. 22 if you don't count Imola, as I was reminded just a moment ago by Fabio. with sign language. You told me that in sign language. That's how much we've come to know each other over the years. Instantly. It's instant. You know, no delay. So anyway, that's more interesting than the Abu Dhabi race was. There were several things going on. There was a penalty for Perez for overtaking and hitting Lando Norris. Kind of reminded me of last week's race a little bit, where George Russell was penalised for being in Lando's position. Maybe I'm just being a little too touchy-feely. Maybe I'm a little too butthurt, but after 1,000 cuts, you would be too. Not even hemorrhoids can fix what I've got. Anyway, there we go. I think that's enough of the analogies, because if I go any deeper into this, I'm just going to start crying again. I've only just stopped since yesterday, so there we go. Hopefully next year we will at least see some competition. And maybe there were some other bits and pieces that went on in the race. Don't really know. Lots of infringements, lots of people deciding that they weren't going to race really very seriously. Yeah. What I liked actually about the Norris Perez crash is Perez said he just turned into me when he was running Norris off the road. I mean, he just turned into me. There's nothing I could have done. Absolutely brilliant. Hopefully we will see an end to Perez at some point. I thought it would have come by now, but maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, they'll announce it. Maybe at the beginning of next year they'll announce it. Maybe halfway through the year they'll announce it. I was hoping that they'd probably get BM in the car, but obviously not. Yuki Tsunoda, who completely trashed Daniel Ricciardo in this race, had more pace all weekend, much better car setup, and as a result of that, maybe Perez will get over Prix. I don't know. All I can say is when 58 laps were done, it was the case that Tsunoda. It was the case that Max Verstappen came over first place again to win the title.
Your mic is cutting out, Simons.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's weird. That is weird because I don't normally do that. But anyway, we'll go. Welcome, Bub, by the way. Welcome, Bub. Let me just put your comment up because there we go. Welcome, Bub. We're going to need you in this one, I'm afraid, because I'm going to struggle for good things to say. What I would say is Ferrari came third. Mercedes came second. That's another story. I'll let fuck, I'm butthurt, Fabio. Go ahead. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm just too butthurt. I'm too butthurt. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, over to you, Fabio. I've got nothing to say on this one other than thank fuck it's over.
There is an interesting. You mentioned some records that has been beaten, and you're right in saying that a lot of them are because there's so many. There've been so many races in one championship. There is a couple of them. So for one, I would need your input, unless you wanted to leave it at the end.
I'm ready.
Yes?
I am ready. I'm just gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Just let me know when I can sit down again.
Yeah, it's okay. You can sit down. So maybe Lucky is wondering why we are playing.
I know exactly what you're talking about here.
Yeah. So
This
the thing is that this is the first championship since 1952 that the British national anthem has never been played.
Never.
Every other championship, might have been, a car or a driver or whatever. And this is the first time since 1952 where the British national anthem has never been played. So that's one record, which is not some record that will make Samos happy. The other one, which I think is way more interesting, is that Verstappen made all the laps in all the races. Now this is it's regardless of the fact of how many races. Actually, the fact that there were so many races, it's even more impressive. And that brings to what Andrea Stella, the general manager of.
Sorry, you mean he won?
What?
Right. Are you talking about his winning record of how many races?
No.
Won?
I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm talking the fact that he made all the laps in all the races.
Right, because he didn't make all the laps in all the races, but yeah, near enough.
Oh, this year, yes, he did.
No. There were a few laps where he'd pitted early and stuff like that.
Oh no! Well, that doesn't count. I mean, he never stopped in a race, and never it took.
Oh, I see what you mean.
In all the
now
races,
I see what you mean. He had no DNFs. Yeah, no DNFs.
No DNF, and and he lapped all the laps that that he could possibly do. That's what I meant.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
And that is really impressive, even more considering how many races there are. Actually, the fact that there are a lot of races, it's even more impressive. And that brings to a consideration that Andrea Stella, the general manager of McLaren, said when asked about the question that everybody's asking, what's going to happen next year, if somebody will be able to catch up with Red Bull and blah 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 blah. And so he said something interesting. He said something. Well, first of all, that wasn't from Stella per se, but that was the general feeling. The fact that it is true that in the last races, Red Bull didn't seem to be the unbeatable machine that it was at the beginning. And by the way, keep in mind when I say Red Bull, what I really mean is Verstappen and Red Bull. Right, so let's be clear, because Perez and Red Bull has been proven to be beatable. So of course we don't know if Verstappen just drove with with the hand out of the cockpit, in the last races, but still, it didn't seem to be the unbeatable car that was at the beginning, meaning that many teams catched up. In a way, most notably McLaren, which I think was the team which made the biggest step in the season. And Andrea Stella again,
in the race.
Well, in the season, considering where they started from.
Let me just say, in the race as opposed to qualifying, where it was Ferrari that made the most.
Well, I mean, qualifying is really fancy and funny, but it gives no points. So it's I mean, I'm talking about
it's true that
the progress of the car, where they started from and how competitive they were at the end. But he said something. He said something really interesting, and he said one thing that everybody has got to improve is the fact that Red Bull is really and Red Bull and Verstappen is really a mean machine. They did no mistakes at all during the season, or at least no mistakes that would have cost them something. The car was always there. They didn't get too many penalties, because changing parts. So the whole mechanism is so well oiled and works so well that is something that even if you have a car which is on par with Red Bull, unless you make some progress on that aspect too, you're gonna have problems. So those are the two things. Personally, I don't think that next year we're gonna see something, some closer races. And my reasoning is because Verstappen won the championship so early that they just forgot about the car as it was, and they kept focusing on next year car. So they already had an advantage of a better platform, and they had more time to develop, starting from a better platform. So I don't think that anybody will be able to catch up. What I think might happen is that there might be some changes in the balance of whoever is catching up with Red Bull. I think that McLaren, as I said, they found the way. They found whatever was wrong with the car. It seems to be they went on the right road. Same thing I think can be said about Ferrari. I mean, the latest package really improved the car, which is something, again, weird, because usually Ferrari started really strong and then, the upgrades were really shit. At least that has been the trend on the previous year. While this year, at least it seems to be that something has changed. So maybe they found, a better way. Mercedes, I mean, they've been that car. I mean, to me, the fact that they managed to get second in championship is quite astonishing. And don't get me wrong, I think they got second more because of Ferrari mistakes rather than how good the Mercedes is. The car, I think it's really problematic. It's still a wrong car, and the main reason being the fact that I can't remember a race where both the drivers were doing good on the car. There might have been races where Hamilton was really good and Russell wasn't, and some other races where that the other way around happened, but it was really extreme. And or some races where the car just didn't work at all. So that, I think, it's a sign of the fact that in Mercedes they haven't really got a grip on the kind of car that they have. So
Well, yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't count them.
Let me say this. Of course, they started with the zero concept car, zero side pod concept car, and they couldn't change their chassis in this season. So there was never going to be, as you say, an amazing second place, considering they started on the back foot and they couldn't make any progress because of their chassis. That was amazing. I think what saved them over Ferrari was the tyre warm-up. The fact that they could bring their tyres in so quickly, and the fact that Lewis and Russell both conserve their tyres as well, mainly by driving slowly, it appears, was what really helped them, at least in the race trim. Obviously, qualifying trim, they were nowhere, and I think this was the problem for Lewis over Russell. Go ahead.
I don't agree too much on the fact that they found themselves with a zero pod car concept, because that was true 2 years ago. And
they've begun the season with that car. They only changed it after race 3 or 4.
Right. I mean, after the first season, they said, the car is so bad, we got to change. And this season they basically had, they tried to make the previous concept work. And that didn't work out.
And that was because of the chassis, right? So in order to make the zero side pod concept work, or to get it on the car, they had to change the chassis, and they couldn't change the chassis back again, right? They couldn't develop a new chassis within the budget, etc., etc.
Well,
so that's the point. And next year they won't have that issue. Yeah, go ahead.
They might have made a new chassis for this year, but anyway,
they didn't. No.
Well, they could.
Well, no, according to Toto, that was outside of the budget. They'd already budgeted for X, Y, Z to the end of the year. They spent all the money on the upgrades, so they couldn't develop a new chassis.
Okay, if you're gonna listen to Toto Wolff, I just I give up. But
I
it's
do.
okay.
I don't know who else we're going to listen
Come
to.
on,
But
really,
okay.
Total War. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. I
Anyway,
understand your point.
anyway,
You're skeptical. I got.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other than that,
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
we are
Aston Martin
motoring
is
through it, unlike
yes,
this season. Okay.
yes.
Over to you, a lucky Seven Wolfen. Thank you. If we could just start with the very last, possibly ever, reportage, le sergent.
Why would you think such a thing? Why do you think it's the last one?
I
Are
don't
you
know.
are you making disparaging remarks here about Mr.
No.
Sargent?
If I was
I'm
making disparaging remarks, I'd be comparing him to Perez.
lying. Okay, so final Grand Prix of the year and the final reportage de Logan Sargent. Mr. Sargent failed to post a time in qualifying because he couldn't keep his car on the track, which may or may not be a sign of his driving abilities. Anyway, in the race, he managed to get himself up to 16th and finished on the lead lap. But as you said, it looks like the end for poor Logan. Rumors abound, one of which is a young man called Frederick something. Hold on, I'll just make sure I got this name right. Frederick Vesti will be replacing.
Vesti.
Yeah, Frederick Vesti, who's apparently a Formula 2 driver at the moment. Williams apparently have taken a bit of a shine to Mr. Vesti and is looking like the replacement next year for poor old Logan.
Oh yeah, speaking of Logan, one last time. Oh, say, can you see where Sergeant's going to? Because I can't see his career in the future. Carry on.
Well, I can see his career in the future being back in America where he belongs. Another Formula One driver from America fails to deliver, and he joins in an illustrious list of basic non-starters in Formula One, going back to Michael Andretti and his poor performance in Formula One back in 1993. Would it be?
Yes, I'll agree with that.
And 30 years ago. So, in 30 years, Americans have managed to score, I think, 1 point in Formula One.
Un point, as we say in Formula One.
Indeed, un point. In Formula One, between the lot of them. So, I'm not sure what it is, but American drivers in Formula One just don't seem to mix.
I will just say this, if I could say this quickly. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I want to say, look, Logan Sargent has improved towards the end of this year. I know that's not saying much considering he didn't fail to qualify, but he is racing the car harder towards the end of the year than at the beginning. So he did make improvements, and I dare say when he does turn up at the next whatever series he's in, he will be okay. Just to say that, I'm not just shitting on him because he's obviously he's a talented young man, just not talented enough for the F1 game.
I have a name that I would love to see in F1 instead of Sargent. I think it's a guy which totally deserves an F1 seat. It's Felipe Drugovich. This guy is fucking fast. He tested the Aston Martin in FP1 in Abu Dhabi because there is the rule that they got to put new drivers, blah 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 blah, and all that stuff. And he was 0.2 of a second behind Russell time. Actually, ahead of Russell. He was the only rookie lapping on Friday, which drove faster than the driver on the other car, which is not a rookie. Granted, it was faster than Stroll, okay, but still, every other rookie was slower than the other guy in the other car, and that guy is fast. I think he deserves a seat. Anyway,
Yeah, you're not wrong. Although that was a bit of a weird session, in that it was, the cars weren't set up. Some people were doing long runs, trying to get the aero set up of their cars. Some people didn't do fast runs at all in that session, and of course there was 10, count them, 10 rookies racing as well.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a strange one. So coming in second is still impressive, though, and he certainly beat some more illustrious names. Although, as I say, not everybody was actually going for fast runs, so it's not that representative.
well,
But he was the best of the rookies, yeah. Admittedly. Go ahead. Sorry, we're interrupting like a lot.
No, there's because there's really not much to say, is there?
Not really. I mean, we can shit on Perez a bit if you want, just for laughs.
Okay, well, let's finish off with Logan. It's not looking good for Logan for next year. As I said, this Frederick Resti, it looks like he's going to be replacing. We'll see over the close season what happens, but I don't think any investment that was made in Logan Sargent was a good investment. And I think perhaps that we can't blame Logan for being put in a place where he perhaps shouldn't have been in the first place. Maybe another year of Logan to get some experience in Formula One cars and then come in. But I feel that he was put in a place where he shouldn't really have been, and not through his own making.
No, at all. But if we remember Stroll from the first year, he was also woeful. It wasn't until really the third year that he started picking up his pace. And now look what's happened to him. Also, of course.
I'm sorry. Has he picked his pace yet?
Yeah,
Sure,
well, he did for a while.
I'm
anyway,
sorry about
but
that.
there we go.
Okay.
Look,
Well, yeah.
and the
Okay.
other thing I
Oh
have to
no,
say-
you're right. His pace. He picked his pace. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, Williams were bought out by an American company. Just to say this, which is probably why Sargent got financing to come and join Williams. So there are other reasons, as always, with Williams as to why they're taking drivers, which are not quite there. But anyway, if they get Vesti, they'll be very lucky because he is a pretty good driver. So we'll go from there. We'll say that much. Go ahead.
I was going to. Oh yeah, okay. We better start mentioning, of course, the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull miles ahead, and the only thing that was really left to win yesterday was second place in the Constructors' Championship, which Mercedes managed to do by only 3 points from Ferrari. So, given it was only 3 points, I think perhaps a joint second place for Ferrari and Mercedes. However, we need to remember that Red Bull Racing, 860 points this year, compared with Mercedes of 409 and Ferrari of 406. Combine the two teams, and they still haven't beaten Red Bull. So I think a fairly convincing year for the Red Bull team, if nobody already realized this.
Well, you say Red Bull. Obviously, you mean Verstappen, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, obviously being carried along by the Verstappen side of the garage, with Perez basically providing some comedy to keep things light.
Yeah, and I believe that this was important for Red Bull, for Perez's side. I will say this. He did provide the tacos this year, so Red Bull have managed to stay within their budget cap.
Yes.
His move on young Norris, what was he thinking? He didn't even try to make the apex there. He deliberately tried to put Norris out. He seemed to be taking a bit of a lead from Max in Max's, shall we say, more adventurous overtakes.
Yeah, exactly.
He paid the price for it.
That's why I was so surprised that I mean, when that happened, when that overtake happened, the first thing I thought is penalty. I thought penalty, penalty, penalty. George Russell is getting a 5-second penalty for that. Go ahead.
It was a strange way to try and overtake. I mean, he just didn't even attempt to make the apex. There was no attempt to get round the corner as he should have got round the corner. He made an attempt to get round the corner that was going to compromise Norris, and that was just the end of it. But he got a penalty he deserved. And
Perez is no Max, not even a Rosberg. Well put there, Bob. Well put. Yeah, no. Max is no Max sometimes, so there you go. Well, I don't know. Perez, like, when I saw it again, immediately I just thought, oh, okay, a Red Bull running somebody off the road. And then when I look back at the things, I noticed how far Max pushed Leclerc off the track going down the road. And I just went, yeah, you see, he's never going to stop doing it. That's why I was kind of disappointed in turn one when Leclerc could have easily just driven Max off the road. No problem at all.
Yeah, but it
would have ruined Ferrari's chances, admittedly, but I'd love to have seen it.
It's
again,
turn
Leclerc
one.
Thinking with his brain, unlike Max.
It's turn one of the first lap. So basically, the unwritten rule is that everything goes on the first lap, especially the first corner, unless there's something really, 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 outrageous. But everything goes.
Leclerc was thinking of the championship, wasn't he? He was thinking of beating Mercedes. He wasn't thinking of beating Red Bull. So again, Max gets away with this kind of style of driving without any consequences. And the only time it happens, Russell gets a penalty. Right, so I'm just saying that will carry on until somebody puts their manners on Max. Which
actually, what
bound to be Hamilton next year. Let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the good things. One of the things which came out of the penalty that they gave Perez, and not giving. Well, first of all, let me say that I'm not happy that Mercedes got second, but they deserve it for how bad, especially Sainz, has been driven, the last races. Leclerc has been able to overtake Sainz in the championship points, which was something that we would have never said something like, 4 or 5 races ago. We would have never said that. And he managed to do that. Sainz really ended the season really bad. The other thing which, one of the things which grew from that situation was, in my opinion, how fantastic of a driver Leclerc is and how brilliant he is as a Formula One driver. In the last laps, he was asking how far Perez was from Russell, and he actually let Perez pass. He just sacrificed his position. He just Perez go by, not to hinder him, not to stop him, just to see if he was able to get 5 seconds ahead of Russell. I mean, that is the kind of mentality that we've seen from the likes of Schumacher, Senna, Hamilton. I mean, these people,
Alonso,
and so, Alonso, of course. Yeah. I mean, all the great Lauda, I mean, all the great, calculators and, being able to drive the car and being able to suggest that to the team, said, let me tell you how far he is. I can give you, it was astonishing to see. It was really, really brilliant.
Agreed. He drove an incredibly tactical race, and I wouldn't have been disappointed if Ferrari had got second place. I felt they deserved it because of the way they managed to improve their car towards the end of the year. But like you say, they did it at the expense of Sainz's driving, I feel, in some sense, because, like it took a Leclerc to be able to handle the thing. And the same way with the Mercedes, right? once those two teams improved the cars as much as they could, it was so noticeable how on the edge that it was. And the amazing thing for me is it took that long for the other teams to do that, whereas race 6 or 7, Red Bull had already done it to the point where Perez was falling off, and Max was like winning everything, of course. And it goes to show you again that Red Bull out-competed in every aspect this year, as you said at the beginning of your intro. Tactics, teamwork,
exactly.
pits, strategy, car development. There was nothing that Red Bull didn't win and was not better at than all the other teams combined.
No, you're right. And then you see stuff, like what Ferrari did in the last race. I mean, they put 2R tires on Sainz, which wasn't in his best. I mean, he hasn't been in his best mood for quite some races now, but they put 2R tires, hoping for a safety car. I mean, this is it's beyond crazy. I wanted to bang my head on the wall. I mean, how fucked up are you? So yeah, they didn't got the place, and that's it. Something that maybe Lucky forgot, that wasn't the only duel for position that was happening on the last race. There was also a duel between Williams and AlphaTauri.
Albon.
And no, between Williams and AlphaTauri, I think they had I think 7 points.
Oh yeah.
And just to give a rough idea to whoever's watching, I think they were fighting for, correct me if I'm wrong, 7th position in the championship.
That's right, 7th. Yeah, 7th.
Yeah. So the difference between 7 and 8 is $9 million. So, and I mean, for a team like both AlphaTauri and Williams, I mean, it's a lot of money, But it's, again, 7 positions, the difference is $9 million.
It's a big game. It's a big game.
Yes.
Full of big people with big pockets. And although they are trying to reduce it, of course, we're down from whatever, like $500 million a year expenditure. We're probably down to the best part of 300 million for the big teams.
Is there any other driver that you guys felt impressed by? I mean, not in the top ones, just midfield stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean Norris again had a cracking year.
Well, yeah, I mean I would put Norris, in the top. I was thinking about somebody a little bit more,
Mid-season, I thought Stroll was doing very well. Again, impressive. He was doing pretty well mid-season against Alonso, which is, of course, a high benchmark. He lost his mojo towards the end. I think he got a little bit disappointed in himself that he couldn't ever beat Alonso straight for straight. But he seems to have picked himself back up again. So I'm hoping for next year again. Albon, again, showed his outright genius at racing. He's just fast, that kid. He's just fast. So that was good. Tsunoda, last race, Tsunoda outperformed Ricciardo by such a long way. Such a long way. It's hard to see how Red Bull can even think of putting Ricciardo into the car against Max after a race like that. He was trashed. He was absolutely trashed.
I mean, I think that if you consider the car they were driving and, the situation they were, overall, I was super impressed by Nico Hülkenberg.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that guy delivered every time he could. And granted, we still have to remember what car he was driving. But
what car was he driving?
I mean, the Haas.
Oh, yeah, Haas. Okay.
Yeah.
The not a Ferrari. Yeah.
Not a car. Whatever. It was really. So, I mean, considering what he was driving, I think he did a very good season. I mean, again, given
Yeah.
the
I
material that you
this
have.
actually pulls up an interesting thing that I think we should just quickly talk about, which is to say the copy cars on the circuit, of which the Haas is one, of course, because they have the whole rear end is Ferrari rear end. And they can easily then develop the car in the same way that Ferrari do, you would imagine, but it's taken them quite a long time to try to do that. That would possibly get them further up the field. And of course, AlphaTauri decided quite late in the season to take as many parts as they could from the Red Bull team, and that also moved them forward quite dramatically. I just got to wonder why some of these teams aren't making the most of their situations as they can. Were they not allowed to do AlphaTauri? Were they not allowed to? And it wasn't until they started getting such dreadful results that Red Bull then turned around and went, yeah, all right, you can have like the suspension and you can have the, some of the aero secrets like the floor. So kind of
Well,
weird to me, that kind of weird.
keep in mind that at the beginning of the season, all the teams got to provide the designs, and the quotas. Everything, all the CAD files to the FIA to prove that the parts that they're supposed to design, they're actually coming from them and not from somebody else.
Yeah, true.
So,
But unlike many other teams, they can take quite a lot of the Red Bull direct. They're allowed to copy it, right? And it's not just copying either. They're allowed to take those parts and go, yeah, we got these designs from Red Bull, so we're just gonna stick them straight on our car. And suspension is one of them, right? Yeah, there are some things they've got to do, like the aero surfaces have got to be designed by them, but that isn't that difficult to copy.
well,
Realistically.
I don't know. I would say that it is true that you can take. You can take the rear from a car, but it's so there is so many things in those cars, so many things that even the things that you would think, okay, that's the easy part. That's a tub. That's the thing. It is actually what proves to be, the thing which makes the car perform. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Well, we've been told allegedly that it's the suspension that's doing it for Red Bull the most, right? So, and they are allowed to take the front end suspension from the Red Bull. So, and they did in fact in this last part of the season, they did in fact change their suspension setup to much more like the Red Bulls. So next year, I'm expecting, AlphaTauri or whatever they're going to be called, the Raging Bulls, to be a lot further up the grid and be a mid-team thing. So again, just to say, we're in for another season of Red Bull domination next year. By the way, people, just because not only will they have two drivers up there, presumably they will also have a second team which are supporting them in the midfield and stopping any lapses that any of their competitors have. The AlphaTauri team, whatever they're called, are going to be right on them. So it's going to be a lot closer next year. At least we've got that to look forward to. Although I don't think the result's going to be any different. Sorry, Bob just says, I don't think Ricciardo did very well this season. Lucky, do you want to just take that one?
Well, he didn't come in until halfway through the year, did he? So,
no. Even then, when he did,
and yeah, of course, he had the accident in Holland that he broke the bone in his hand. So, he didn't have much to race for. He wasn't going to win any championships. He certainly wasn't going to win any races. So, was there any motivation for Ricciardo to do well? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, there certainly was in that last race,
Well, I thought this last race that everybody would have end of season adrenaline and would be giving it big licks. But that didn't happen. It was actually a very disappointing race as far as that was concerned.
It was a disappointing weekend from Ricardo. I mean, even through the practices, he didn't do well.
Yeah.
Qualifying, he didn't, couldn't get his shit together, couldn't get the car together. I don't know
Yeah.
why Tsunoda could and he couldn't. You know, if he's supposed to be such shit hot, ready to go to Red Bull, why couldn't he beat Tsunoda? I mean, Tsunoda had a cracking weekend.
We can speculate about his hand and how much recovery there is. Has maybe got problems still with his hand. I don't know, but I think there would have been a lack of motivation for Ricardo because apart from lapping the track, there wasn't really much that he could gain in his last 3 or 4 races. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. Could be the car. Who knows? Who knows? I wouldn't like to speculate.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. Anything to say there, Fabio?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Jolly good. Ricciardo, yes, we agree, didn't do that well. Maybe in an off season he can show Red Bull that he's worth it. I feel if I was in Red Bull or Marco Helmut's position, I would probably go for a South American driver.
From Canada.
From anywhere, really, other than Australia, probably. I don't know. There's plenty of people knocking on the door. So, they've got a large amount of people to choose from. I can't understand why they keep having this problem. What they've got to do is try and get somebody who matches the same driving style as Verstappen. And then at least they've got a chance, At least they're setting one car, at least they're putting one setup on both cars. I think that's where they need to really start improving because it's no good getting a driver in the car and then going, okay, we're going to have to change the setup because you can't handle the car the way the other driver can. That doesn't make any sense, especially as Nui is so good at designing cars for individual drivers. He's been doing it for years. So I can't see. I can't see why they just don't go. Okay, look, and put people in the simulator, and anybody that drives the same lines as Max instinctively, we'll take them.
Because they can't. I mean, they can find one. Albon said it really well when he was in Red Bull. They asked him, if the car was the same. He said, yeah, I mean, the car is absolutely the same. There is no question about it. The thing is that Verstappen is able to drive the car in such a way that when Albon tried to, he almost killed himself. That guy, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Verstappen, personally, but, fuck me, he's a very, very, very good driver. He's really fast. There is no denying that. He's super quick. And the way he drives the car, he's able to drive the car in a way that nobody can drive that especially that car. So kudos to the guy. I mean,
yeah, agreed. There's been plenty of people recently doing reviews and analysing his driving style and equating it very closely to Schumacher's style of the way he takes a corner.
Yes.
So I mean, if that's the case, then. I mean, it makes sense, right? Verstappen, Jos. Go ahead.
Sorry, he's very deep into the corner before he turns in, isn't he? I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, late apexes, yeah.
Yeah.
And holding good speed through, so. But, I mean, it makes sense in that Jos Verstappen, of course, was Schumacher's teammate. And those two got on really well together, even though Jos couldn't come anywhere close to it. So there's no reason why Jos wouldn't have known how Michael was doing it. And obviously, Jos taught Max how to drive, of course. So I guess from the very early childhood, he was being drilled and into the right way of driving the car, and he could only have improved. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense to me. Bob says, I was hoping for Tsunoda Red Bull 2023. I think it would be a better choice than Ricciardo. That's my feeling, although I still think whoever you put there is going to have a devil of a time, unless it's, someone who really is very determined, very firm on how he wants the car to be, and then all you're doing is slowing Verstappen down. 2024, yes. Sorry, yeah, 24. Yeah.
I think that something happened with Max Verstappen after maybe his first 2 or 3 years at Red Bull. Red Bull got to a point where they said, listen, Max, forget all this entourage you're bringing with you. They're now banned. Because he was bringing groupies and all sorts of things to race weekends. They stopped all that.
His dad, mainly.
Well, yeah, his dad was the I think the main protagonist. However, they said to him, listen, you need to stop treating this like it's a good time weekend and get serious. And when that happened, things changed with Max Verstappen. And he went from an ordinary driver to someone who was in a different league pretty much to everybody else.
Well, it's also because of the fact that he's in a team that, I mean, we might like it or not, but they've been proven to know how to deal with people which drives really fast. I mean, Ordner had, Ordner had, like a gentleman called Vettel. And, he brought him to where he was on the Red Bull. So they know how to treat people. They know how to treat driver. They know what to tell them, how to pamper them, how to,
get the best from them.
Yeah. So
well, and also not just set up a car for them, which I think is very much to do with the engineers, but also design a car for somebody's driving style as well. I mean, that's one of the Newey strengths. As I said, going way back, Newey was able to do that for Hakkinen and many other drivers over the years. I really think that is a key part of why the Red Bull is stretched away and been so dominant this year. I really do. Go ahead.
I'm not so sure that AJ Newey takes into consideration the driving style of the driver. To be fair, I mean, this is just my impression. I think it just makes a car, and then if you have somebody like Vettel or Verstappen, they can squeeze everything they can from that car. But I don't think.
Let me just rephrase what I'm saying here slightly, which is not that the car itself is designed specifically for that driver. I agree, he designs the fastest car he can kind of devise. What I mean is the development package is tailored around that driver.
Yeah,
that's where Newey really comes alive, because he
maybe
says, okay, we can put more front end. Well, I know how I can do that.
Yeah.
But even then, I think for this particular season, that front end, and last season as well, that suspension setup, the new suspension setup, was designed specifically for Max.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm not super convinced about that, but I can see your point. But on the thing that you said before, the reason I said that about Newey is that Newey is famously a person which, I mean, at least at the beginning of his career, I don't know now, maybe it's become a little bit more mellow with the age, but at the beginning of his career, he didn't really care too much about the driver. The Williams that he designed for Senna was, notoriously uncomfortable for Senna. I mean, they had to cut, places because he couldn't drive. I remember Ivan Capelli on the Leighton House, he said, it was a pain to drive, a physical pain to drive. And, there was also some stories about, Capelli telling Newey, I mean, if you can fit in the car, I would drive the car, but I can't fucking fit the car. So he's never been one which looked at the comfort or the style of the driver. He just wanted to make a fast car. In a way, it reminds me of Gordon Murray, another one which made no compromises when designing a car, at the risk of, making cars which were, well, I would say dangerous, but I mean, because they were all dangerous, but really weird to drive, with strange positions, strange heights. So, yeah. But anyway,
When
Okay.
when
Go ahead,
when the
Lucky.
first active suspension Williams came out, which I believe was a Newey design, Nigel Mansell refused to drive it because the active suspension did a funny sort of shimmy as you went into a corner. Mansell refused to drive it. Piquet did all the testing on that, and it wasn't until that car started going really quick that Mansell had to then adapt his style to drive it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So Newey designed a car to go as fast as possible, I would suggest, and drivers
Agreed.
were
Yeah.
of a secondary importance.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, it's more about the updating that I'm thinking of specifically, not the actual
Absolutely.
design of the car. But nonetheless, agreed. Although I can't help thinking that Perez did really well at the beginning, because basically he could drive the car, and then, funnily enough, the car suddenly, upon aero development, switched towards Max's style. So, just pointing that out. Perez was
I
doing very
mean,
well at the beginning of the season.
maybe it was because Verstappen learned how to properly drive that car. That might be another explanation.
Yeah, I mean, possible, but it would be a coincidence that just happened at the same time as the aero development went onto the car. Just what I'm saying. But anyway, there you go. There
Anyway,
you go.
let's move on, guys.
Yep, indeed, we're at an hour, so I think it is time once again. And get yourself ready for this, bub. We need you here for the last instalment this year of the very famous and very welcomed special section in the show called. Let me just get the audio sorted out. Quiz or myth, myth or quiz. Is it a quiz? Is it a myth? Is it a quiz or myth? Is it a quiz and myth? No, it's a quiz and a myth, kind of. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Lucky.
Let's start quizzing, shall we? There's going to be a question for you both, and then there's going to be a picture round, because picture rounds, everybody likes a picture round. However,
just as we get going on your bit, you drop out, Lucky.
Yeah. Remind me by the end of it. I got to tell you who this guy is.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm still thinking.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. Is that Jos Verstappen?
No.
No. Okay.
Right, I think I might be back.
You're back now. Thank you. Okay, over to you, Lucky.
Okay, the question. I'll ask the question. It's for both of you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is a topical question. Max Verstappen yesterday, amongst other records, joined a club which only two other drivers are in. And those two other drivers were Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton. What do you think the club is for? And it's a record that he has set.
Wow. Hold on a second.
Schumacher,
who set the record first? Because did he beat the record or what?
No. Michael Schumacher in 2002 was the first person to ever do this.
Oh, okay.
Now in
I know.
In 2017, Lewis Hamilton was the second driver to do this.
Okay. Yep.
And this year, Max Verstappen is the third driver to accomplish this.
Okay. So over to you, Fabio.
Well, it's either that it was always on points, or that he made all the laps in the championship.
No, it's the podiums. He's made a podium every race.
Fabio gets the point.
Except one.
Fabio gets the point.
Oh, Fabio gets the point. Okay. What was it?
Fabio gets the point. Completed every race lap in the season.
There we go. Okay.
Every
Yeah.
single
Well
race.
done, Fabio.
There you go.
So,
Funny enough,
things-
that's something I said at the beginning of the thing.
It is,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
though-
yeah.
Hang on a second. Road quiz question. Which F1 driver had the highest ELO rating of all time? I know it doesn't exist, but calculated F1 ratings. Highest
what
ELO rating.
what is the ELO rating?
I don't know. It's
Yellow.
a level thing. I think it's probably Senna, Bub. Is that right? He's got
I
the
don't
most
know. I
wins
don't know
for
what
starts.
I don't
Most
know what
wins
the.
for ELO is like a chess thing, right? It's a
Uh-huh.
rating of how good you are overall.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing it's Senna because he had the highest win rate. Something like that, maybe. No, it wasn't Senna. It was a guy that did like 6 races or something that's got the highest win rate.
Actually, there is a guy. I can't remember the name of the guy. I think there is a guy which raced only once and he won.
Oh yeah, the American guy maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's-
can't remember the name of the guy, but I think there is a guy which did that.
He says it's not Senna. Okay, you have to give us the answer now.
Can you tell me what yellow stands for? Because I haven't got a clue.
I can't remember, like level. I don't know. It's some kind of level thing. I can't remember. Hey Dave,
Okay.
good to see you, mate. You have to look it up. If you just type in ELO and look it up, it'll tell you. It's a chess thing.
Just look up yellow.
ELO.
Bring up the back.
Electric Light Orchestra Racing.
That's
That's
Yeah.
what it
what I
is.
was thinking.
Fernando Alonso. Okay, I never said that.
Really? Okay. Fernando Alonso it
We've got
is.
the
Okay,
answer,
thank
didn't
you.
Okay.
Could you just tell us why in chat?
Alonso.
Why he's the most ELO rated average, I guess. I don't even know what it stands for.
It must be due
okay,
to the
I'll
amount
look
of starts he's had. He must have the highest amount of starts in F1 nowadays. I'm sure.
Relative skill lessons is zero-sum games such as chess. What does it stand for? It doesn't stand
Oh,
for anything.
ELO goes up
ELO
if you
should
beat
go-
your teammate. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I
it's
can see
named-
why it's Alonso. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Arped ELO. Right. It's named after somebody. That's why it doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah.
Hungarian mathematician. ELO goes up if you beat your teammate. I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, with that criteria, I can see why it's Alonso. Because,
Yeah, well, you would
I
think
mean,
this year it would be Albon, presumably.
yeah.
But there we go. Okay. Question number 2, if we may. I'm trying to get through this now because we're over an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look at Discord, there are 2 pictures.
Discord. Okay.
There's a gold-looking car and there's a red-looking car. If you bring up
I
the
don't see.
goldie-looking car
pictures.
first.
I've got nothing, dude.
Oh,
Where
nothing,
did you
man.
post it? Did you mean Discord?
There
Yeah, there it
yeah,
is.
They're coming up
Got
there.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
They're coming this way. Okay, the car
Okay,
on
let me
the
just-
left. If you could bring that up first.
I'm going to the one on the left coming up first. Here it comes.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Probably that one. There it is. Oh
This
yeah,
one's for
Lotus.
Fabio.
Uh-huh.
This one's for
Okay.
Fabio. That is a Lotus 52. A Lotus 52.
Uh-huh.
What was unusual about the Lotus 52?
Was it the one with the turbine?
Fabio gets a point straight away. Scores are now 16 all, and it's all to play for on this last picture. If you want to bring up the other picture of the red Lotus,
Okay, we'll do. Hang on.
which is a Lotus 63.
Really? That's a Lotus 63. Are you sure?
That's a Lotus 63, absolutely. And
Okay.
the same question for you, Simos. What is unusual about the Lotus 63?
Right. Really? That's a 63?
Yeah.
With a wing. With a rear wing. 63.
Remember, the numbers didn't go by years in Lotus.
Right.
Some
Okay.
of them maybe did, but not all.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. That makes more sense.
It's not a 1963 car, if that's what you think. Definitely not that. But however, it is a Lotus, and it's a Lotus 63, and there's something unusual about it. What was unusual about it?
1971, I think it was. Oh,
It was Graham Hill who I believe drove the
Okay.
Lotus 63.
I think that may have.
Amongst them.
I mean, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Oh, I think this might have been the first one to put the gearbox behind the engine. Maybe? No, I don't think so.
That's
go
not
ahead.
the answer,
No. Okay.
I'm afraid.
No, that's okay. I would only be guessing from further on. Certainly not that. It's certainly not that.
Now, we have a conundrum, gentlemen. We have a conundrum. The scores at the moment are 16 all. Now, I could give Fabio the chance to steal here, which would make him the winner for the year, or I could give you the answer and leave the quiz at 16 all, a draw. What would you like me to
I
do?
would rather go. Yeah, I would rather go for the. You give the answer, and that's it. I think that's the only way to finish a championship. At least we're gonna finish a championship really, really tight. Yeah,
I
as
think,
opposed to the F1.
I think that is probably the fairest way to go. And
Yeah.
the answer is that car is four-wheel drive.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
Four-wheel drive Lotus. Now, just as a trivia add-on, there was a Formula One car that was four-wheel drive and actually won a race. Does anybody remember? This is just while we're talking about things.
Well, maybe
I can't
the
even
one
remember.
race. Did you say is it the Williams? Is it?
No, I can't even remember the full name of it. Oh, God. I was hoping one of you would know and save me here. It used Ferguson gearbox differential arrangement. Ferguson, of course, who were more famous for doing the four-wheel drive on Jensen Interceptors, if you remember. Jensen FS. Ferguson four-wheel drive. It won a championship race in 1959, if I remember right. So there was, believe it or not, a four-wheel drive car that won a Formula One championship race.
Okay.
So
59.
at
No,
the
I
end
don't know.
at the end of the year, as far as the quiz goes, it's 16 all, a draw. Well done, both of you.
Thank
However,
you. Well done, Fabio.
Cheers.
there is one
So-
award. There's very quickly. There's the one award that I wish to give to Simos for his attempt at naming Manuel Fangio early in the year as German Merc guy. That was definitely the best answer out of every answer we had this year. German Merc guy. So well done, Simos. You
Did I
get the
say
award
that? I can't even remember.
I can't
Fangio,
either, but
I'm sure
it's fucking
Fangio
brilliant.
wasn't Fangio Argentinian.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Okay.
saying. It was the best.
Oh, I
Best
see.
answer.
But he drove a Mercedes, which was German.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Okay, right. I didn't know. I didn't say he was German. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I was
Anyway,
actually
there we go.
driving along the other day, and that came into my head, German Merc guy,
Right.
and I
Okay.
couldn't stop that.
Quick quiz then
So-
for Lucky. Could you name
Yeah.
Fabio's driver? Because I can't.
Who is this guy?
Okay, is this a Formula One championship or pre-Formula One championship driver?
Before
It's
1950.
it's before 1950. It's a world championship.
Oh, it is a World Championship.
Well, but it's just not
Yes.
F1. Yeah.
It's not F1.
Nope.
Oh, fuck. In an Alfa Romeo. Oh, Count Von Dracula or something like that. Is that right?
It's a
Trapp.
count. It is a
Von Trapp,
count.
is it?
Funnily enough, it's a count. I don't know how a chance you got. It was a count.
No, and
Okay.
but as
Okay.
soon as you went before
So
war,
Was
and you count.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So the reason I put this picture is because of it's the last time that Alfa Romeo is racing in F1. Even if it wasn't a proper Alfa Romeo, I mean, the last Alfa Romeo, of course, was made by Auto Delta and with the engine of Engineer Kitty, blah 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 blah, and all that shit. But still, I thought it was. So this guy here is so this car is the first is an Alfa Romeo P2, and this is the car which won the first World Championship, which was held in 1925. And this guy, even if there wasn't a title, he was the first world champion ever of the first championship organized. It was organized by, I can't remember the name of the IECTRA, whatever. And there were 4 races. What?
I'm trying to get through it. You said, "What's this guy's name?" And the answer is
Yeah, I get it there because the name is really funny. There were 4 races, and the contender were Alpha, and there were French and Americans. So they had a race in Le Mans. The last one was in Monza, where he won the championship, and the name is Gastone Brilli Peri.
okay.
He took the car in Monza after Ascari died, the previous race, and so the name doesn't ring any bell, even if it was technically the first world champion. You might know the names of somebody which raced with him at the same time, because there are 2 corners in an Italian circuit which are named after guys which raced with him. And the 2 guys are Materassi and Biondetti, which are 2 corners in Mugello. And there is actually a petition going on to give the name of one corner or a section of the circuit in Mugello to Gastone Brilli Peri. Brilliant guy, and it was a count. So you got half point, Lucky Wolfie there.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. I was thinking, as soon as you said count, I thought, oh, Von Traps. No, surely not.
No.
Okay. Never mind. Right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bub, for staying with us. We really appreciate you. And I'll just put that up again for those that are interested. Watch NL 1556/1838 Isle Maiden F1 engine, who's the highest rated on YouTube. So I don't know exactly what that is, but if you put those numbers in, hopefully you will get something back. Okay.
I did put in a video.
Go ahead, Lucky.
I did put a video in the side chat there, just if we've got time, as a small funny for the end of the year.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
this-
Let's just play that then.
Sorry, before we watch the video, and before I forget, can I just say very quickly that on Sunday I didn't pay too much attention to the race, to be fair, because I was actually following another race in Valencia where we had way bigger satisfaction, as an Italian, where Francesco Bagnaia won the MotoGP championship for the 2nd time in a row. So well done to Ducati, my ex-mates, and Francesco Bagnaia. So yeah, I just want to remember that because.
Yeah. Okay, jolly good. And yeah, obviously, huge congratulations. Hell of a rider. And we'll end on this then, if that's all right. Lucky, anything you want to finish with?
Well, it's been Red Bull for the year. I suppose we better congratulate Red Bull on fucking blitzing the 2023 championship. Max Verstappen and Red Bull and some North American or South American guy, I don't know. Is it North American or South American he came from?
Difficult to know.
Hard to tell, yes.
It's difficult to know.
But anyway,
I'll just say this. Go ahead. Sorry,
no,
I thought
no,
you
on you go.
finished.
Please,
Well,
go ahead.
no, I'll finish when I'm ready to finish. You finish up, and then I'm go.
Okay, well, as I said, it's been Red Bull's year uh, without any single doubt. So, well done to Red Bull. Let's hope next year sees a bit more competition.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
I'll just say before I play the video, then.
I better just say before you play that video, this video
Mm.
doesn't involve a driver getting hurt. However, it involves a driver getting hurt in a hilarious manner.
Okay. Well, we'll trust
And
you.
there
on
won't be any problems with YouTube
that.
deleting it, I promise.
I hope so. Okay. So, in the famous words of Freddie Mercury, don't stop at stapping us now. Okay? Don't stapping us now. And we'll see you again for next year. And here's this to play it out. Okay?
Look at Nigel standing up, all happy. Whack!
Oh. Ouch.
And then,
ouch.
and then of
ouch,
course,
ouch.
then of course,
This-
Marty Walker gets involved.
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Smack. There we go.
Ow.
Ouch.
Okay, there we go.
That was story.
It also reminds me of the time Kimi Räikkönen was interviewed, I think by Murray Walker. I think it was. Was it Murray? No, it was by Martin Brundle. And he'd just come out of the restroom. And Martin Brundle came up to Kimi Räikkönen and goes, Gimme, you've missed Pele on the grid. And Kimi turned around and goes, so? I was having a shit. Okay, thank you everybody. We will see you all next year.
See you in March. See you guys.
Take care. Bye
Ciao,
bye.
ciao.
See ya.